And it's a pleasant good evening to you here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Matthew Will joining you here for Wednesday night baseball in Avon, Ohio. We've got the Lake Erie Crushers who enter tonight's game at 14 and 20, and your Evansville Otters who enter the game at 22 and 11. Another good evening to you. I'm Matthew Will, Director of Communications and Baseball Operations here with the Evansville Otters, stepping in for Evan Patoka again tonight as he is still getting back to 100%. So our well wishes with Evan. Hope to have you back here on the airwaves very soon. Evansville got a big win last night. No two ways around it. Put up 6 runs in the first inning and just kept piling it on. No runs in the second. Then they put up crooked numbers in the next 4 innings as they cruised their way to an 18-2 win. Ben Peschke looked pretty solid on the mound, though did have to work kind of long into some at-bats. He looked impressive through the long range of things, was able to get out of a lot of jams, struck out a couple of guys, only gave up 2 hits in 6 scoreless innings. Great effort there from Ben Peschke to keep Evansville in it all evening long, and the bats certainly answered the call as well. As for this evening, it's JD Encarnacion who gets the start for Evansville on the bump. He'll face off against Bob Helt on the other side for Lake Erie. We'll walk you through the starting lineups for this evening here on the Papa John's pregame show. And for Evansville, it's the center fielder John Ponder who leads off. Amani Jones plays second, hits second. Dennis Pierce in that 3-hole as the designated hitter this evening. And the cleanup man is catcher Logan Brown. Batting fifth at first base, Blake Robertson. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Marcos Gonzalez. Batting seventh, the left fielder, LG Castillo. Batting eighth, the right fielder, JJ Cruz. And bringing up the rear, playing shortstop and batting ninth is TJ Salvaggio, the leading RBI getter on this Evansville team. We flip the book over to Lake Erie, the home team this evening, and their starting lineup, as leading off is once again Sebastian Alexander. He switches over from center field to left this evening. He's followed by the lefty Jared Watkins. Batting third is the former Otter lefty Paven Parks. We saw him pitch in the game last night as well. And the cleanup hitter for the Crushers is designated hitter Alfredo Gonzalez. Batting fifth, the right fielder Garrett Pike. We saw him pitch last night as well, 2 full innings for the right fielder. Batting sixth, the catcher Derek Vegas. Batting seventh, the center fielder Joe Redfield, seeing his first appearance of this 3-game set. Batting eighth, the first baseman Jacob Tobias. And batting ninth is the third baseman Luis Acevedo. We mentioned JD Encarnacion is getting the start on the bump for Evansville this evening. He's been a pleasant surprise for Evansville this year. Started out the year with a game that maybe he didn't love. Saw the IL just for a very short stint as he was just trying to get himself to 100%. Came into training camp not quite there, maybe 96, 97%. Just had to get him that extra little bit ready to go for this season. And so far, he has been a lot of fun to watch. He's 1-1 officially in the book, and in 22 innings of work, he's got a 4.50 ERA. He's faced 96 batters, and he's sat 14 down on the strikeout while only walking 8. A 1.45 whip means he's not allowing a lot of people on all the time, but that whip is near the highest on the team. Of course, the guys that are up there with him are also starters, kind of what you expect out of some of your starting arms to have whips that are just a little bit higher. On the other side, of course, we will talk more about Bob Helt as we get through the first inning. He enters the game with 26 and a third innings pitched, 6.84 ERA. He struck out 22 and walked just 15. So Bob Helt certainly looking to kick off tonight's game better than the Crushers saw out of Andres Parra yesterday. He gave up all 6 of the first inning runs, or at least they were all credited to him. He was pulled after the 8th batter of the game. TJ Salvaggio was the first man to see Adam Brower. Parra was officially pulled due to an injury, as it was the athletic trainer that pulled him off the field. But things were not going well for him up there. It looked like he had a lot of soreness in that left arm. Hoping that we get to see Andres Parra back in this rotation very soon for Lake Erie. Obviously, a certainly key piece of their rotation and a guy you want to see returning to the lineup, as Lake Erie right now, the only team in this division that is under 500. This has been a division that really feels like a fist fight every single night. Everybody wants a say in things. Washington refuses to lose. Evansville refuses to lose. But because of that, Evansville keeps themselves a game and a half back despite all of their winning ways. Evansville had their second 5-game win streak of the season last night. Found it to 5 games. If they can win tonight, it will be their second 6-game win streak, matching the season long this year. That 6-game win streak would also match the current 6-game win streak that the Washington Wild Things are on. Washington, if they can find a way into the loss column, would have double-digit losses at 23-10 if they were to lose tonight. And if Evansville wins on top of that, they would be just a half game back of first here in the Central Division. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun all season long in this division. Florence is just a couple of games back of Evansville at 20-14, officially 4 games back of the Wild Things, 2.5 back of second place and the Otters. If we were to start the playoffs today, of course, the new playoff structure started last year where you're playing a little bit more baseball. Prior to last year, you were playing a 1-game wild card between those 2 and 3 seeds in each of the 2 divisions. And then that wild card winner would face the 1 seed in a best of 3. The 2 winners of then those best of 3s would face off in the championship series. That was the structure when Evansville found their way to the Frontier League Championship Series back in 2023 against Quebec. This year, the path will look a little bit different. You get into the playoffs if you win your division. So if they start today, that's Washington and Gateway over here in the Midwest Conference. It is then the next 2 best records in terms of win percentage after those 2. So it's the rest of the conference altogether. If you look through that, that means it's Evansville and Florence as the next 2. Evansville would be heading to Gateway for a best 2 out of 3 series, or I guess officially it would start in Evansville with game 1, and then 2 and 3 would be played on the road in Gateway as the lower seed hosts game 1 before you go to that higher seed for the 2 potential clinching games. And that would mean that Florence would head to Washington for that first round series. Again, a long ways away from that, a lot of baseball yet to play before that, but it is nice to know that at least right now, as we are getting past that 3rd mark through the season, Evansville firmly in a playoff spot. They just have to keep up the winning ways, and they've certainly been able to find a lot of success recently. We take a quick break, and on the other side, it's first pitch from Avon, Ohio, between the Crushers and the Otters, right here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. And we're ready from first pitch here from Forefront Field in Avon, Ohio. We are bringing tonight's game to you remotely from Evansville, as once again we are hoping that our good friend Evan Patoka is ready to go back on the airwaves here in the next day or so. He getting back to 100% with a little cold, so we are filling in for him here remote from Evansville, Indiana. First pitch home is high for ball 1 to John Ponder. He fouls off ball 2. And the count is even at 1-1 as the Edward Jones leadoff man, John Ponder, digs in for his 3rd pitch. Enters the game leading Evansville with 39 hits on the season and a .355 batting average. The 1-1 home, this one's fouled off towards the right side, and it will work far enough out of play and onto the concourse, which has lost a lot of popularity right now. Not a lot of people out around the concourse or in the seats, as there is some rain moving into the Avon area. It's quite a big system, folks. There's a good chance at some point this evening we could see play paused or potentially even suspended due to the amount of rain coming through. But we hope that maybe a gap opens up and we're able to play baseball for the rest of the evening. The most important thing, we are underway and playing baseball now. The next pitch is high and outside for ball 2, and it evens our count at 2 balls, 2 strikes for the leadoff man, Ponder. Bob Helt getting set on the bump, steps back and fires on the 2-2. This one's fouled way high and off to the right side. And working over there is Tobias. He'll bring it in foul territory just in front of the Otters dugout for out number 1 on the foul pop-up. Good opportunity to walk you through the defensive alignment for the Lake Erie Crushers this evening. In the outfield, left to right, Alexander in left, Redfield in center, Garrett Pike out in right. Across the infield, it's Luis Acevedos at third, Jared Watkins at short, former Otter Paven Parks at second, Jacob Tobias at first, and Derek Vegas behind the plate, catching this evening for Bob Helt. First pitch home to Amani Jones stays high for ball one. As we mentioned in the Papa John's pregame show, Helt entering the season with entering the game, apologies, with a 6.84 ERA and 26 and a third innings. The 1-0 home to Jones is left alone up high for ball two. Kind of looked like Helt wanted that pitch to break, and it never really broke down into the zone. Stayed high, and a good eye from Amani Jones there to just leave things alone. Jones last night had a walk in the first inning, came home to score on Dennis Pierce's two-run homer. The 2-0 to him now, stays outside ball three. Off-speed pitch on the outside edge, looked like it was trying to catch the back door. Couldn't quite find it. Bob Helt home on the 3-0 now. That one does find the inside half of the plate. Fastball gets him over for strike one. Amani Jones back into his usual spot, two-hole, playing second, where he's spent a lot of games this season. The 3-1 stays well high. It's ball four, and it's a Deerhead side walk, cafe and bar for Amani Jones here in the first inning. Second night in a row that he has kicked off his evening with a free pass courtesy of 4 balls. It brings up the designated hitter Dennis Pierce, batting .297. He leads the team in doubles and home runs with 12 and 6 respectively. 25 RBI on the season. He is in that top 3 on the team right now. First pitch home to Dennis Pierce. Will not come home. Instead, Bob Helt tosses over to first to keep Amani Jones honest over there. Amani Jones, a guy that's not afraid to try to swap a bag here and there. First pitch finally comes home to Dennis Pierce, and it stays outside for ball one. Long look over to first for Bob Helt, keeping Amani Jones close. One more glance, and the 1-0 comes home. That one finds the plate, a fastball on the outside edge. Dennis Pierce kind of looked like he was taken all the way there. The bat did come off the shoulder, but not a whole lot of intention to swing. And if last night's any indication into anything, Evansville's probably going to sit back a little bit in the box. Make the Crushers pitch to you, especially with all the free passes they issued last night. 1-1 is well outside into the opposite batter's box. And Dennis Pierce takes a 2-1 lead in this count. DP entering this game with a .297 average, as we said. And he is looking to do something with Amani Jones out there at first here in the top of the first inning. The 2-1. Swinging strike two. Big time swing for Dennis Pierce. Just a bit out in front of that baseball. As we are here in the top of the first inning, Evansville looking to win another series here on the road. 2-2 home to DP. That stays inside for ball three. Talked a little bit about it last night. Dennis Pierce stuck around on Sunday after the game to chat with a couple of us in the front office just to enjoy what was a very successful weekend, both on and off the field. And, he was really optimistic with the way this team is playing, really excited to be a member of this team right now. He says that it's just a group of guys that all really love being around each other. They support each other in the losses. They lift each other up in those wins. A lot of positivity. It sounds like on Monday, as the team headed up to Avon, Ohio, they had their annual bus karaoke where you have a little bit of fun with the rookies and make them stand up and sing a little bit. And there was a lot of fun to be had. We'll at least break down a little bit of that for you, as I'm sure Evan, when he returns to the broadcast, will give you the full breakdown as he was in attendance for all of those karaoke sessions. Dennis Pierce pushes one off to the right side. It's through the infield for a base hit, and it's the first hit for the Otters on the evening. As Amani Jones advances to second, Dennis Pierce at first with a single, and there's 2 on here in the top of the first for the Otters. Exactly the start you want. Probably not perfect for John Ponder. He took a good AB, took a long at-bat to start off the game, but unfortunately the foul ball stays in the yard and is caught over there by the first baseman. Instead, that's out number 1, and Jones and Pierce have to follow with just that 1 out. Logan Brown at the plate now with 2 on, 1 out. He's first pitch swinging, and he fouls it back into the catcher, Derek Vegas. went off of Vegas's mask and all the way back into the netting behind home. So, our home plate umpire for the evening, Miguel De La Cruz, will walk about a third of the way out to the mound and throw the ball back to Helt himself to give Vegas a chance to get his composure back at least before the next pitch. 0-1 the count now to Logan Brown, the catcher waiting on it. Pitch home, and it's fouled off once again. Stays on the inside edge, kind of bounces back up into his hands and goes off his arm before he leaves the box for a foul ball, strike two. Of course, we will be keeping an eye on things around the league. Nothing more than the game going on in Washington, Pennsylvania, where the Wild Things are hosting Mississippi. The Mud Monsters lead that contest 1-0 in the third right now. A reminder, if the Otters win and Washington loses, it's just a half game between the two of them at the top of the Central Division. The 0-2 to Brown stays well inside. He shows good plate discipline to leave it alone. He was really corked up to swing there, trying to defend himself. But he'll take ball one, below the knees inside. Top of the first, Evansville threatening for the second night in a row. 1-2 comes home to Logan Brown. Swinging strike three, caught on the breaking pitch low in the zone. And Logan's unable to do anything there. And we'll sit down without number two. Not the worst thing in the world. Remember yesterday, Logan Brown came up empty in his first AB, and with 2 outs, the Otters put together 6 straight base hits to put up 6 runs in that first inning of play. So things can still happen here as Blake Robertson heads to the plate. First baseman digging in for his first opportunity of the day. First pitch is a called strike one on the inside half. The off speed gets him. B-Rob enters the game with a .206 batting average. 14 hits to his name this year, 3 of them the long ball. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. The 0-1 home, swinging strike two. Just got in front of a breaking pitch there. Exactly what Bob Helt wanted to do. The pitch looked like it was going to stay inside. Stay inside in the zone at least. And it kept breaking to the inside. By the time that Robertson had swung at it, it was a couple inches inside the plate. The 0-2 now to Robertson. Well high for ball one. Vegas able to get up out of his stance to grab that ball and not allow Jones or Pierce to advance. They stand at second and first respectively. Otters put up 6 in the first yesterday, trying to find some offense here in the first tonight. 1-2 comes home from Bob Helt. Swinging strike three. And despite 2 men getting on with 1 out, the Crushers get out of things in the first. We do not have a repeat of yesterday. We're on to the home half of the first here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Still scoreless in Avon. It's the Mesker Park Zoo first inning. here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Glad you're joining us for Wednesday night baseball in Avon, Ohio, between the Crushers and the Otters. And the Mesker Park Zoo and Botanical Gardens first inning. Don't forget to visit the Mesker Park Zoo right here in Evansville at 1545 Mesker Park Drive. Always an enjoyable time. I believe we're going to go out next week with a couple of our players to go see the Otters, interact with some Otters fans that might be wandering around the zoo, and should be a fun time out with a couple of players out in the community sometime next week. First pitch home for J.D. Encarnacion is a called strike as his evening gets started. 22 innings pitched for the Dominican. 0-1 on the way home. This one's lifted out towards center field, racing off towards left, and it's off of the hill out in left field. It's a lead-off home run for Sebastian Alexander. Found his pitch, took it for a ride, and it's back-to-back nights with home runs for Sebastian Alexander. He had a 2-run homer in the 7th, which was good for the only 2 runs the Crushers scored last night. Tonight, he gets the Crushers on the board first with a solo shot to left center. It's a good pitch from Encarnacion here. You know, he's going to challenge guys in the batter's box quite often. This time was a bit low and inside, and able to turn on a pitch was Alexander. So it brings up Jared Watkins, the shortstop this evening. Lefty batter, enters the game batting .250. First pitch, a foul ball. His second one is lifted over the second baseman, Amani Jones, for a base hit. Jones took a couple steps in the right direction, but wasn't quite able to track down the baseball in time. And it's back-to-back base hits to get things started for the Crushers this evening. Long wait now before we get set for Pavin Park's at-bat, his first of the evening. Second baseman is batting lefty this game as well. And the first pitch home to Pavin. High and outside for ball 1. Otters fans, of course, familiar with Pavin Parks. He spent the tail end of the 2024 season in Evansville, was certainly a hybrid player during that time of his stint in Evansville, pitching and playing shortstop. We saw quite a few games where he would play short for most of the game and then switch to the mound to close out games. Ended up grabbing quite a few saves in that 2024 campaign. Returned to the Otters last year in 2025 before he was traded mid-season and eventually ended up on the Gateway Grizzlies by way of the Ottawa Titans. Kind of saw a couple different teams there for a couple different weeks, and now has found a home with the Lake Erie Crushers. He and his wife ending up a little bit closer to family now that they have a child in their life. And Pavin Parks is looking to keep writing his story here in the Frontier League. 2-1 count to him now with a runner on first and nobody out here in the home half of the first inning. Low and inside, a great pitch from J.D. Encarnacion. The off-speed got Pavin swinging, and it evens our count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Parks has the unfortunate title of the Frontier League's leading strikeout man. 42 to his name there at the plate. The 2-2. This ball's lifted out towards center field. Ponder running after it, and that one's off the hill out in left field. Another home run here in the first for Lake Erie, and it's now 3-0 Crushers after a 2-run blast from Pavin Parks. You know, I think that was the whole idea. And if you're Jared Lemieux, that's got to be the words that you said to your ball club today after last night, and probably what you mentioned to your ball club last night is you have to find a way to start tonight's game better, both offensively and defensively. Not only do they not allow anything to come home after 2 runners reach with just 1 out in the top half of the first, they put up 3 runs of their own here in the bottom half. And Evansville still looking for their first out as Alfredo Gonzalez comes to the plate. Foul ball, straight back into the netting for Alfredo Gonzalez. Kicks off his count at 0-1. 256 average for the designated hitter. The 0-1 comes home to him well outside for ball one, and our count evens up. One ball, one strike to Alfredo Gonzalez. High, ball two. I think you have to be a little bit patient here, and you also have to force some things if you're JD Encarnacion. Don't push a ball straight into the zone, into a sweet spot necessarily, but you've got to force these hitters to put baseballs into play and trust your defense to help you. Gonzalez does put one into play. It's down the left field line, and it's going to be extra bases for Alfredo Gonzalez. It's a stand-up double, and it's 4 straight base hits to start the game for Lake Erie. Trying to give the Otters a taste of their own medicine after Evansville put up 6 in the first frame yesterday. It's 3 runs already for the Crushers and a double for Alfredo Gonzalez here in the home half tonight. Garrett Pike heads to the plate now, the right fielder who ended up pitching a couple innings last night for this Lake Erie team. He lays down a bunt down the third base line. Encarnacion picks it up, fires to first, not in time. Not at all what the Otters needed there. Garrett Pike puts down a perfect bunt. Encarnacion got there quick. The problem was the bunt was perfect. It was right down the line. So by the time Encarnacion had gotten all the way to the fair foul line, by the time he fires to first, the speedy Garrett Pike is at first in plenty of time. And it's going to be an infield base hit for Garrett Pike. He extends his team lead to 34 base hits. First pitch to Derek Vegas is sent high and out of play for strike one on the foul ball. So there's now runners at the corners. Pike at first, Gonzalez at third. Another foul ball back into the netting here for Derek Vegas. And he's going to have to play a little defense. 0-2 the count. Runners at first and third. Otters still looking for the first out here in the bottom half of the first inning in Avon. Encarnacion waiting on the mound. The 0-2 home. Lifted foul once again off to the right side and out of play. We remain at 0-2 and we wait to do it again. Derek Vegas last night, 1 for 4 with a single in the 7th. Had a couple of ground outs and a strikeout as well. This pitch off to the other batter's box. It's ball one, but firing down to second is Logan Brown. It's a double steal, in fact. They fire down to second and get Garrett Pike on his way, but at the same time, Alfredo Gonzalez steals home, and it's another run scored for the Crushers. A double steal sees Garrett Pike eliminated on the base paths on his way to second, but at the same time, Gonzalez heads home, and it's 4-0 Crushers. Derek Vegas looking at a 2-2. Stays low, and our count goes full. Encarnacion desperate for a good pitch here now. The 3-2. This one lifted high, but shallow in center field. Ponder doesn't have to move but a few feet to bring in the fly ball for out number 2. Certainly positive the Otters are able to get themselves to 2 outs here. The downside is there's already 4 runs on the board for the Crushers here in the first inning, returning the favor to Evansville after they scored 6 in the first yesterday. Joe Redfield at the plate now, his first at-bat of this series. He leaves the first pitch alone inside for ball 1. Redfield playing center field this evening, batting lefty. .273 batting average entering today. Second pitch to him stays inside for ball 2. Second on the team with 30 base hits is Joe Redfield. The 2-0. This one's lifted out towards right field. Making a run towards it is Cruz. It's off the wall. He throws in towards second, and it's a double for Joe Redfield. And the inning will continue for Lake Erie. Well, the problem with a start like this is as a pitcher, you just want to throw strikes. You want to try to get baseballs into the zone. And if you're going to allow contact, you're going to have to trust the defense behind you. Unfortunately, the balls that have been hit by this Crushers team have been really hard hit and into the right places, which has allowed them to score some runs. Encarnacion going to swap a baseball before the first pitch to Jacob Tobias. Hard to tell if the rain is still present in Avon. We're calling this game remotely once again this evening, but there is a huge cell moving in and around the Avon area. Being that close, of course, to the Great Lakes, Lake Erie in particular, you have a lot of those lake storms that like to pop up kind of out of nowhere. This is often for games that happen here in Lake Erie that, 1 minute it's perfect, and the next minute it could be raining. 0-1 stays low and evens our count at 1-1 to Jacob Tobias, the first baseman. Tobias last night, 0 for 3, walked, had a strikeout, and a couple of groundouts. The 1-1. This one's fouled off towards the left side and into the netting. And the count advances to 1-2 in favor of J.D. Encarnacion. A little bit of a longer wait here for the next pitch. Tobias finally ready at the plate. The 1-2 just misses on the outside edge and the count evens. Fastball from Encarnacion tried to lock Tobias up, and though he did that, the pitch was still just a bit too far outside. A 2-2 to Jacob Tobias. This is lifted out towards left field. Making a run towards it out there is LG Castillo, and it is a ground rule double. Bounced off the warning track, and of course a turf field here at Avon has a lot of bounce to it, and when a baseball is lifted that high and bounces out near the wall, it does have a pretty good chance of bouncing over. We saw Ponder with a ground rule double yesterday. That's an RBI ground rule double for Tobias there, as it scores Redfield from second. First pitch to Luis Acevedo is in there for a called strike one. As the Otters look to get themselves out of this first, down 5. 0-1 lifted off towards the left side over the head of Salvaggio. And a great play out and left by Castillo to bring that in and toss it towards home. And because of that, Tobias will only advance to third. He thought about rounding third and heading home. Castillo with a great throw to the plate, and Logan Brown says, "Not right now. Keep that man on the corner." But it is a single for Luis Acevedo and puts runners at both first and third now for the Crushers. And with that, we see a team in this series bat around in the first for the second consecutive night. Last night, the Otters. Tonight, the Crushers. Before that leadoff man, Sebastian Alexander, returns to the plate. Max Peterson out having a quick word with his pitcher, J.D. Encarnacion, and catcher, Logan Brown. Encarnacion and Brown, that pitcher-catcher battery is brought to you by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Dylan Zentko warming in the bullpen for the Otters. And Evansville really hoping that they do not have to go to him sooner rather than later. Encarnacion already at 30 pitches here in the first. 20 strikes, 10 balls. First pitch ready for Sebastian Alexander. On the way. Stays just a bit inside for ball one on the fastball there. Alexander led this game off with a solo home run to left field. That was followed by 4 more base hits for the Crushers, as 8 of the 9 Crushers pick up base hits in the first time around here in the first inning. 1-0 stays outside, and the count advances to 2 balls, no strikes. Encarnacion desperate here for an out. The 2-0. This one's lifted out towards shallow left. Dropping back is Salvaggio. And he will be the one to bring it in. Finally, the first inning ends, but not before the Lake Erie Crushers put up 5 runs, highlighted by a solo shot from Sebastian Alexander and a 2-run homer from former Otter Paven Parks. It's 5-0 Crushers as we head to the second here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. On to the second inning here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. It's the J.E. Shekel Armor Protection second inning. Founded in 1978, J.E. Shekel is Tri-State's premium residential, commercial, industrial service, and construction company. And the Otters not in the place they want to be. A little returning of the favor from Lake Erie in the first inning. They put up 5 runs in the home half of the first. A little revenge for Evansville's 6 that they put up in the first yesterday en route to an 18-2 series opening victory. We mentioned that most of the evening we would be keeping an eye on that game in Washington, Pennsylvania, where the Wild Things are hosting the Mississippi Mud Monsters. Since we last checked in, the Wild Things score 2 in the home half of the third, and they take a 2-1 lead. So if things stay right now, it's a soon to be, or at some point, 2.5 game advantage for Washington. But of course, lots of baseball still to play in Pennsylvania and here across the border in Ohio. First pitch to Marcos Gonzalez finds the zone for a called strike 1. Quickly, the 0-1 comes home in the opposite batter's box and gets past Vegas. For ball 1, and the count evens at 1-1. Gonzalez enters the game batting .298. 34 hits to his name on the season. The 1-1. This is pushed out towards the left side to the shortstop Watkins on 2 hops and fired over to first in time for out number 1 on the ground out. Otters having to work from behind tonight. Not the ideal place to be, but not the worst thing in the world. Evansville has found themselves back into a lot of ball games this year. First pitch misses the zone outside for ball 1 to LG Castillo. Castillo enters the game leading the team in batting average with .389. He has had a week, folks. Tons of fun to watch LG Castillo over the last week. His streak of 4 straight 3-hit games came to an end last night, but he did reach base 4 times, 2 on singles, once on an error, and once on a fielder's choice. The 1-0 pitch stays low for ball 2, and it's a hitter's count now. Castillo with 28 hits on the season, 2 of them for doubles and 1 for a homer. 2-0 on the way from Helt. Low and well outside for ball 3. Just because you do find yourself down 5-0, it doesn't mean you have to stop being patient at the plate. The Crushers have been struggling to find the zone consistently. Force them to throw strikes, and when they give you good pitches, take advantage of them. As for LG Castillo, doesn't even have to bring the bat off the shoulder. It's a 4-pitch walk for LG, and he's the first base runner here of this second inning. Back-to-back innings, the Otters have had the opening man retired, and the second man gets on via the free pass. So it's the right fielder, J.J. Cruz, at the plate now. Enters with a .235 batting average. He can do a little bit of everything. He's played right, he's played left, he's played shortstop, even played second. I mean, he can do a lot of things for this baseball team. Now he's going to have to answer the call at the plate here. Starts off with a ball outside to take an advantage in the count 1-0. Next pitch home from Bob Helt. Stays well high for ball two. Looked like a fastball that was supposed to have some break, but it never cut back down. Stayed quick and it stayed high. A 2-0 now on the way home. Right down the middle for a called strike one. Bob Helt allowed 2 base runners to Evansville in the top of the first inning after getting the leadoff man out and stranded both of them with a pair of strikeouts afterwards. The 2-1 to J.J. Cruz fouled back into the netting, and the count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Once again, we want to issue an apology and thank you for your understanding as our audio not on Home Team Network tonight. That's just due to the logistics that come with Home Team Network. It's a great system. We love our partnership with them. Unfortunately, it is a little bit harder to do when we're not on site. So because of that, because we are broadcasting remotely again tonight, unable to have our audio there. However, if you do have a subscription there, you can always pull up the broadcasts that is existing on there, mute your TV, bring up our stream here on YouTube or WYIR, and sync it up, listen along here on the Otters Digital Network, and still be able to watch the game if you'd like. Another foul ball means it's a 2-2 count for J.J. Cruz here with a man on and 1 out here in the top of the second inning. Otters trail by 5. The 2-2. Pushed foul once again to the right side, down towards the Otters bullpen. The bullpens here, similar to Evansville, with them being on the field down the baselines. The difference, however, is instead of the pitchers throwing towards the outfield wall, they're actually throwing towards the dugout. So if a ball gets past the catcher in those bullpens out there, they can end up actually back behind home plate of the playing surface. Attempted steal out there is going to be L.G. Castillo, and he's in with a stolen base. He beat that throw by a mile. Derek Vegas had to come out of a crouch. The low pitch there was hard for him to deal with to also get thrown out there, and because of it, it's a fairly easy stolen base for L.G. Castillo. And J.J. Cruz now looking at a full count. Runner in scoring position and 1 out. And the pitch stays high and outside. Ball 4. It's back-to-back walks here in the second inning. Both Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar. And it means there's men on first and second with 1 out in the top of the second inning. These are the opportunities right here, folks. You're down in the game. There's 1 out. There's 2 men on. And your leading RBI man, TJ Salvaggio, heads to the plate. If you ever needed one from Mr. Clutch, it's here in this moment. First pitch comes home to TJ. Heavy swing just in front of the baseball on the outside edge for a swinging strike 1. Salvaggio enters the game with a .265 average, 30 hits to his name. 6 of those doubles, 5 of them home runs. And like we mentioned, the leading RBI man on the team with 28. The 0-1. That's fouled off towards the third base side. A slow roller picked up by the third baseman Acevedo and fired in towards the dugout. So it'll be 0-2 for TJ Salvaggio. Castillo stands on second. J.J. Cruz on first after the leadoff ground out from Marcos Gonzalez. After Salvaggio, of course, John Ponder, the Edward Jones leadoff man, waiting on deck. The 0-2 to TJ Salvaggio on the way home now. Low and outside, it's going to get away from Derek Vegas all the way back to the screen, and both runners will advance 90 feet on the wild pitch there. L.G. Castillo advances to third. J.J. Cruz out to second base. And if it wasn't a must-get opportunity before, it absolutely is now for TJ Salvaggio. 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch comes home to TJ Salvaggio. Low and well outside for ball 2. Just got to keep yourself alive in there if you're Salvaggio. Two fired home. Once again outside. It's a full count now for the 9-hole TJ Salvaggio. 2 men on and 1 out. A beautiful opportunity for Evansville to strike here in the top of the second inning. They trail 5-0 after that first, in desperate need of a base hit here. The 3-2 comes home. This one is fouled straight back into the netting, and we will do it again with a full count. Good defensive swing there from Salvaggio. Swung hard, made contact with the baseball, was just a little too far underneath it, and sent it back into the netting. Cruz at second, Castillo at third with 1 out. Payoff pitch on its way for TJ Salvaggio. Another pitch lifted up, foul, and out of play to the first base side. Landon Williman in the dugout for Evansville, giving some claps towards TJ Salvaggio, encouraging him in this at-bat, keeping himself alive. The 8th pitch of the at-bat, getting set to come home to TJ Salvaggio with 2 in scoring position and 1 out. Once again on the 3-2. Low and outside, ball 4. And it's 3 straight walks for the Otters here in the second inning. The bases are loaded with the Edward Jones leadoff man, John Ponder, headed to the plate. Huge opportunity for the Otts. And because of it, there will be a mound visit for the men in black. Lake Erie wearing their black jerseys with purple crushers across the chest and purple numbers on front and back, all in white trim, with the home white pants and purple caps with the full Crusher Grape logo there on the cap, nice and big as well. Evansville wearing their alternate blue jersey today with the road gray pants and their blue caps with the gray bills that are typical for road games. Pitching coach for Lake Erie is Brandon Sittinger, the former Otter. He is one of 4 Otters who have made their way from Evansville all the way to the big leagues, and now he is a player assistant coach in Lake Erie, doing both pitching and pitching coach stuff as well there with the Crushers, located in that Cleveland area so that he can be with family and around where his family's from, and also continue playing the game he loves. John Ponder, ready for his first pitch, sends it down the left field line. 1 run's going to score. A second one comes around for Evansville. It's going to be a 2-run double for John Ponder and the Otters. And just like that, they're on the board. Edward Jones leadoff batter. John Ponder with his team-leading 40th hit on the season. A 2-run Deerhead double-decker double. Exactly what you need out of a clutch guy in your leadoff spot. Castillo was quick home. Cruz had a great jump at second, was able to round third and score standing up as well. Salvaggio stands on third now. And the Otters in business. Amani Jones, first pitch, low and inside for ball 1. Back-to-back nights now that John Ponder in his second AB has had a base hit that has scored 2. 1-0 pitch stays high, and he takes a 2-0 lead in the count, Amani Jones. Jones walked his first time up there in the first inning, but was stranded at second. The 2-0 home to him now. Lifted foul off towards the left side and will get out of play. What an exciting couple of weeks if you're a sports fan. NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals both came to a close in the last week and a half or so. Women's College World Series finished about a week and a half ago. The Men's College World Series going on right now, as we saw North Carolina eliminate West Virginia earlier today. North Carolina playing for the title this weekend. Exciting stuff there for the Tar Heels, and they are waiting to see if they're going to play Oklahoma or Georgia in that title series. 2-2 is swung on by Amani Jones, but fouled off back towards the screen, and he will stay alive at 2-2. At the same time, the world's eyes on the United States and North America as a whole, as the World Cup taking place right now as well. We get to see the United States play again on Friday. 2-2 to Jones. Stays outside, and the count heads full. Lake Erie was not able to punish Evansville last night with all the opportunities they got with full count pitches. They pushed Ben Peschke to full counts all night yesterday and were not able to capitalize. This is a chance for Evansville. Chopper in the infield is sent over to first, and it looks like they are going to get the out. High chopper ended up towards the third baseman Acevedos. He does make the out at first, but a run will come home to score on the fielder's choice as Salvaggio able to make it those 90 feet. And though he is retired on the fielder's choice, Amani Jones able to drive in a run. So Dennis Pierce heads to the plate. Now looking at the Otters just with a 2-run deficit. They've scored 3 here in the top of the second inning, answering the 5 Lake Erie put up in the first. First pitch was a ball outside. The 1-0 comes home now. Again towards that outside edge, and it is going to be ball 2. Kind of got a pump fake there from our home plate umpire, Miguel de la Cruz, but he leaves it alone. Oh no, they did call it a called strike. He just put up 1-1. We must have just missed his motion off to the right side. 1-1 stays plenty low, and Vegas does a nice job of keeping it in front of him. And that keeps John Ponder at third. Ponder scored 2 with his 2-run double, and then a fielder's choice RBI from Amani Jones brought in another. Chopper for Dennis Pierce to third base. They send it over to first in time to retire the side, but not before Evansville puts up 3 runs of their own. We head to the home half of the second. Evansville has scored 3. They trail 5-3 here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Otters baseball here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Evansville trails 5-3 here in the home half of the second inning in Avon, Ohio. Matthew Will joining you here on the airwaves as voice of the Otters, Evan Patoka, is getting himself back to 100%, a little under the weather, and we hope to have him back shortly. But we are guiding you through things. It's a call to the bullpen for the Otters here in the second inning as Dylan Zitko will enter after J.D. Encarnacion goes just 1 inning, gives up 5 runs on 8 hits. And Zitko potentially going to be asked to put in a couple of really solid innings here for Evansville as the strong lefty's first pitch stays low for ball 1. One-zero stays low once again, and the count goes to 2-0. Dylan Zitko signed just over a week ago after finishing his college career with Murray State. He was a member of that team last year that made it all the way to Omaha. The 2 O's sent Screaming towards second base, Amani Jones plays it pretty simply and over to first in time for out number 1 to Jared Watkins. But of course, yes, Zentko on that College World Series team last year that shocked the world there for Murray State. One of the very fun things about college baseball is it seems every year you have a team going to Omaha that most people would say at the beginning of the tournament had no business doing it, but it's part of the lovely part about this game is you have to get 27 outs no matter who you're playing. First pitch on the way home is sent way high in the infield by Paven Parks, and it's the shortstop, TJ Salvaggio, who will bring it in on the pop out right in front of the second base bag for out number 2. Prior to playing with Murray State, Zentko was pitching at Olney Central College. Certainly a hotbed of solid talent. We also saw Braden Scott pitch there for a couple years in college. And of course, anyone familiar with Evansville Otters baseball, familiar with the name Braden Scott, became the all-time strikeout leader for the Otts last year. First pitch home to Alfredo Gonzalez stays low and outside for ball 1. Gonzalez's first time up, he had a double, which was the 4th base hit in a row to start the game. He ended up stealing home on the double steal. The 1-0 to him stays high, and the count advances to 2-0. Zentko up there on the mound, hails from Brazil, Indiana. Now getting to play in an in-state team for his pro debut season. Make it a 3-0 count as that one misses the zone on the outside edge. The pitches that have not been offered at have been balls so far, but the pitches that have been offered at, Zentko's been able to pull up pretty solid outs to both Watkins and Parks. The 3-0 home to Gonzalez. Misses below the knees, and it's a 2-out walk for the DH Alfredo Gonzalez. It'll bring up the right fielder Garrett Pike. Garrett Pike last night came in and pitched the 8th and 9th innings for the Lake Erie Crushers after starting the game in right field. You hate to say that a position player looked like the best pitcher for a team, but at least on the stat sheet he did. He was able to get 2 scoreless there in the 8th and 9th innings, mostly because he was forcing pretty weak contact with the fact that it was a little harder to time up those swings. First pitch to Garrett Pike is sent to the right field through the gap on the right side of the infield, just past both Robertson and Jones. And it will be a quick 2-man on for the Crushers with 2 outs, with Gonzalez at second and Pike at first after the base hit. So that'll bring up Derek Vegas, the catcher. He flew out in the first inning. Was the first out recorded via the bat in that first. He was the second out after the caught stealing earlier in the inning. His first pitch stays low, and he swings through it. Might have got a piece of it. Regardless, it's a swinging / foul, strike 1. Long wait before the 0-1 pitch. Zentko finally has the call he likes. Glances to second. Fires home on the 0-1. Works inside, and I think it got him. It did. Derek Vegas hit by the pitch. And how quickly things can turn. After getting 2 quick outs to start the inning, the base is now loaded for the Crushers after a walk, single, and hit by pitch back to back to back. Quick meeting between Logan Brown and Dylan Zentko. They wave it off to the press box, so it means they were just re-upping on signs, making sure they're ready to go, which wouldn't surprise you that they want to change it up as well with there being base runners out there. If you ever needed an out, it's right here for the Otters. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning, Otters trail by 2. need to find your way out of this inning without giving up a run. First pitch to Redfield, called strike one at the numbers, right across the heart of the plate. Scary pitch to throw for Zentko, but you had to put one over the heart of the plate. You had to get a strike to start an AB. Long wait before the 0-1. It's on the way. Just misses on the outside edge. The breaking pitch breaks a bit too far. Redfield in the first had a double, came around to score on the ground rule double from Jacob Tobias. He was the fifth and final run scored for the Crushers. Looking at a 1-1 pitch, and it's on the way home from Zentko. Stays low, and the count goes 2-1. Zentko enters in the second inning after Encarnacion forced out of this ball game after just one. 2-1 on its way for Redfield. It's a called strike right there near the knees. No, he left it alone. Occasionally we have a lag here on the stream, and it's hard to tell whether it was a called strike or not. It's left alone down there for ball three, so it's 3-1 the count. Zentko kicks and fires. Almost in the same place there at the knees. That one is called strike two, and now it's a full count. So the center fielder, Joe Redfield, with 31 hits on the season, his 31st coming in that first inning, trying to add some insurance for the Crushers. Bases loaded, 2 outs. The full count pitch home. Misses inside. No, it's a called strike three. A little delay there from Miguel De La Cruz, the home plate umpire, but he punches out Joe Redfield. 3 men get on with 2 outs for the Crushers in the home half of the second. Dylan Zentko ends the inning with a backwards K. We're on to the third. Otters trail by 2 here in Avon. It's time for the Precision Pest and Wildlife third inning. Every great team brings precision to the field. We bring it to your home and business. Call 812-993-3341 or visit precisionpestwildlife.com. Let's elevate the standard together. Grateful to have Connor and his team as one of our partners this year, Precision Pest and Wildlife. If you saw the preseason social media from us, might have seen that the mascot there from Precision Pest and Wildlife, Rocky the Raccoon, both he and Evan the Otter got up to some funny business there in the late parts of our offseason and the preseason times. Ready to kick things off is Logan Brown, and he watches a called strike one come across the plate to kick off this top of the third. He struck out in the first after 2 men had reached, looking to bounce back here. 0-1 is fouled off towards the right side and will just dribble off towards the bullpen area out there in far right field foul territory. Down 0-2, Logan looking to keep himself alive and make something happen here. Pitch comes home, and he's able to foul it away and keep himself alive. Just barely caught a little bit of baseball. And we show some patience as we await the next pitch. The 0-2 on the way home from Bob Helt. That one bounces in for ball one. Bounced before it even got to the home plate circle. Logan Brown kind of had to jump out of the way. It nearly caught him. 1-2 the count. Now to Logan Brown. Pitch finally on the way home from Helt. Again, it's low and inside. Bounces in there for ball two. Two pretty solid pitches. Forced Logan to swing the bat and foul them both off. And now two really poor pitches from Bob Helt. Low and way inside. Evens our count up. 2-2. Stays just a bit outside. Oh, goodness. Great pitch on the high outside corner. Looked like it was going to carve it up there. Instead, it stayed just a hair out and sends the count full. The 3-2 to Brown. Upstairs, ball four. It's a Deerhead sidewalk, cafe, and bar for Logan Brown to kick off the third inning. Great plate vision there. Fell back 0-2 to start the at-bat. Sees things out. Watches the next four pitches go by and is at first base for free. Brings up the first baseman, Blake Robertson. He sat down with a strikeout in the first as well. See if maybe he can relieve himself a little bit like Logan Brown did. First pitch is fouled off towards the left side. Well foul and out of play for strike one. Everyone join us on the YouTube stream tonight. Would love to see your comments. Throw in where you're listening from, or give us your favorite player, or give us a player you'd love to see a big performance from tonight. Love to interact with you. 0-1 lifted out towards left center by Blake Robertson. It's back towards the wall, and it bounces right in front of the center fielder, Redfield, who had given chase to it. Great base running from Logan Brown. He ends up at third. There's runners on the corners with nobody out for Evansville in the top of the third. Put a charge into the baseball out there. Redfield had to run a long way, but he was able to keep his angles pretty solid so that it did one bounce in front of him. He still was able to play it on the bounce. Robertson doesn't get an extra base. However, good base running from Logan Brown means there's runners at the corners. Marcos Gonzalez grounded out to start the second inning. This is his second opportunity now. 2 on, nobody out in the third. First pitch fouled to the third base side, and Andy McCauley will chase after that one real quick and maybe toss it to a fan. Like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, not a whole lot of fans at Forefront Field this evening. They were battling some rain in the Avon area. Big system moving through. It does look like it's cleared up, however. 0-1 home to Gonzalez. Nearly gets him in the hands. Had to check swing a little bit, but the appeal down to first says no, he did not. So the count evens at 1 ball, 1 strike. B-Rob at first. Logan Brown at third. Nobody out in the top of the third inning. The 1-1 to Gonzalez. This one sent over the shortstop's head and into left center field. Logan Brown's going to score. Blake Robertson to third. It's a stand-up Deerhead double-decker double that scores one for the Otters and Marcos Gonzalez. Never say die Otters. Down 5 in the first. Are right back in this thing, down just 1 in the top of the third inning. They link together their first 3 opportunities of the third, a walk, a single, and an RBI double from Marcos Gonzalez. All you had to do was be a little bit patient out there. This is a Crushers team that hasn't put you away until they've put you away, and Evansville made sure that before things got out of hand, they put themselves right back into this baseball game. LG Castillo at the plate now. First pitch stays high and inside for ball 1. It's Lake Erie 5, Evansville 4 in the top of the third. And the Otters still have a chance to make some more magic happen. 2 on in scoring position with nobody out. The 1-0 to LG. Swung on and missed. Great breaking ball that just kept moving outside. When Castillo wanted to swing at it, it looked great. By the time the swing had happened, that ball had run away out of the zone. Good pitch from Bob Helt to even things up at 1-1 strike, with Gonzalez at second, Robertson at third. A 1-1. Misses low below the knees for ball two. Looked like Derek Vegas gave a quick little argument to Miguel De La Cruz behind the plate, or at least gave his 2 cents about the pitch. But it is a 2-1. Helt kicks and deals. Jammed up Castillo, but he pushes it out towards center field. Making a running grab is Redfield. They'll throw it home. The throw's not in time. It's a sacrifice fly for LG Castillo that scores Blake Robertson. And the Otters have tied this game at 5, just a couple of innings after Lake Erie put up a 5 spot in the first. It all comes down to base running in this inning. A walk from Logan Brown started off the inning. Blake Robertson hit a single in which Logan Brown extended himself to third. He was able to score on the RBI double from Gonzalez. On that play, Blake Robertson gets himself to third, and now he can score on the sac fly RBI. Foul ball first pitch to J.J. Cruz as he's at the plate with 1 out and 1 on. Gonzalez was unable to advance from second on the sacrifice fly, but that's okay. J.J. Cruz at home now. He lifts the ball out towards center field. Redfield running after it, but he's able to bring it in for the second out of the inning. Fires into the infield, and once again, Marcos Gonzalez unable to advance. And it's 2 quick outs. This one can't do anything productive, unfortunately, for the Otters. So that'll bring up the 9-hole man, TJ Salvaggio, who walked his first time up and came around to score on the RBI fielder's choice that Amani Jones grounded into. First pitch home to TJ Salvaggio from Bob Helt. It stays low and outside for ball 1, breaking pitch that just kept on a breaking. Bob Helt has pitched 2 2/3, given up 5 runs on 4 hits, walked 5, and struck out just 2. 1-0 the count to TJ Salvaggio. It bounces in for ball 2, a great stop from Vegas. Not only did he have to kind of get out of his stance, he had to hop over towards the lefty batter's box to keep his body in front of that baseball and keeps Marcos Gonzalez at second base. 2 outs, man on second. TJ Salvaggio looking to give the Otters potentially their first lead of this baseball game. After trailing 5-0 after the first, they put up 3 in the second, now 2 in the third. They might not be done yet. Salvaggio. The 2-0 comes home. Called strike 1, barely caught the outside edge of the plate on what looked like a curveball that just barely grabbed the edge. Tough one for Salvaggio. It looked like it was going to stay well high and kind of fell off the table at the end. So 2-1 the count now for Salvaggio. Pitch comes home. This one's grounded towards the left side. Third baseman Acevedos brings it up, fires over to first, and the foot race is not quite won by TJ Salvaggio. He grounds out, but not before the Otters score 2, 1 on an RBI double from Gonzalez, and tie the game on a sac fly RBI from LG Castillo. It's 5-5 here in Avon as we head to the home half of the third. Otters baseball here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Evansville found themselves down 5-0 after the first, and they have since tied the game at 5 apiece after a 3-spot in the second and a 2-spot here in the top of the third. And just like that, it's a whole brand new ball game as we kick things off in the home half of the third. 8-9-1 up for the Crushers. Jacob Tobias kicking things off. He had a ground rule double RBI in the first inning. That scored the 5th and final run for the Crushers. First pitch home from Dylan Zitko. Finds the high outside corner for a called strike one. We'll take some time to look across the Frontier League as well as we're going through this inning, as they've just started in Schaumburg. Scoreless between Florence and Schaumburg. 0-1 home to Tobias. Swinging strike. And it's an 0-2 count. Way out in front of it was Jacob Tobias. Great pitch from Zitko there. Gateway up 10-0 on the Brockton Rocks. They're in the second inning right now. My goodness, Gateway came to play. 0-2 misses just barely outside for Zitko and takes the count to 1-2 strikes. It's a 10 spot in the top of the second inning for Gateway. They still have the bases loaded with 2 outs, so they might not be done. The 1-2 from Zitko. Called strike 3. Locked up Jacob Tobias. And dating back to last half inning, it's back-to-back backwards Ks for Dylan Zitko. And it's the 9-hole hitter Luis Acevedo headed to the plate now. One out, nobody on, as Acevedo waits on the first pitch. Swinging strike one, way out in front of that baseball. And Zitko gets himself a first pitch strike. Just a heads up, Brockton has gotten out of that top of the second. They head to the home half of the second, down 10 now, though, on 12 hits. Ball is fouled back into the netting by Acevedo and takes our count to 0-2 once again. Tri-City leads Quebec 1-0 in the second inning there in Quebec. Down east over New York right now, 8-0 in the top of the second. A lot of scoring in the Frontier League so far tonight. We've got 10 runs in our game through the first 2.5 innings, as the 0-2 stays low and takes our count to 1-2 strikes. Washington leads Mississippi 4-2 in the top of the 6th inning. Otters kind of hoping for a Washington loss and potentially a win of their own to move to just a half game back, potentially. The 1-2 stays outside and evens the count up for Acevedos. Some games already in the books today. Sussex County defeated Trois-Rivières 9-1. And New Jersey defeated Ottawa 5-1. We'll keep you up to date with scores around the league as we continue going through tonight's contest. 2-2 to Acevedos. Bounces in and the count goes full. That about a 57-foot pitch for Dylan Zitko. And now with the full count, he'll have to put something that is at least appealing near the plate. 9-hole Luis Acevedo reached on a single his first time up. The payoff pitch here, high, ball 4. And he reaches base for the second time this evening. So after the leadoff strikeout to Jacob Tobias, Luis Acevedo reaches on the free pass. And we head back to the top of the order, where Sebastian Alexander will step in. He's 1 for 2 on the day, led off this baseball game in the bottom of the first with an RBI or a solo home run. And then he was the final out of that first inning as well with a fly out to shallow left field that ended up being caught by the shortstop Savaggio. First pitch home to Alexander. Works high and inside, barely misses Alexander. 4-1. Positive there that Zitko doesn't hit him. And now a 1-0. Swinging strike evens the count up. Way out in front of that baseball with Sebastian Alexander. A good work from Zitko to take a load off that pitch. Came out of the hand just like the fastball he had thrown before. But the changeup just hit the slow motion button. 1-1. That's fouled into the foot of Alexander. Just barely made contact with the ball. on a high outside fastball, fouled it down into his foot. And with it, Zinko takes a 1-2 advantage in the count. Zinko waiting on things on the mound. Glances over to first where Luis Acevedo stands after his walk. But a 1-2 gets set to come home to Sebastian Alexander. This one's pushed off towards Salvaggio at short. To second for one. On to first. Not in time for the second. But the fielder's choice will retire the leading base runner, Luis Acevedo, on his way to second base. Sebastian Alexander will reach, of course. 6-4 officially the put out there on the fielder's choice that retired Acevedo. And it's now Jared Watkins stepping in with 2 outs and a runner on first. First pitch is right across the heart of the plate for a called strike one. Didn't look like Watkins had any anticipation of wanting to swing at that pitch. Was taking the whole way. 0-1 now the count. Next pitch misses just off the outside edge and evens up the count at 1-1 Almost no wind here right now in Avon, Ohio. A little worried things might get a little dicey as there was some rain in the area. A big cell was starting to move into the area. Though there has been some light rain, we've been playing baseball. Pitch low and outside takes the count to 2-1 for Jared Watkins. He singled in the first, came around to score on Pavin Park's 2-run homer. And then he grounded out to start off the second inning. The 2-1. This is flared off towards left field. Giving chase is Salvaggio. He slides. Hard to tell if he made the catch or not. He was approaching the bullpen out there in foul territory and left. He doesn't come up with the baseball, and luckily he's all smiles with Marcos Gonzalez afterwards as he slid trying to catch the baseball, but he slid right where the mound kind of begins in the bullpen. Of course, playing a series here on a turf field at Forefront Field, so there's always those little ways that it plays different. All of the playing surface is that turf, even where it is the brown-colored turf that's supposed to look like the dirt. 2-2, flared off to the right side. Amani Jones brings it in on a 2-hop and sends it over to first for out number 3. So the Crushers put a little bit of stress on the Otters there. They get a man on with 1 out, but after a fielder's choice and then a secondary ground out, the Otters able to get out of things. We head to the 4th here on the Otters Digital Network, and we're all tied at 5 runs apiece. We'll be right back. It's time for the Sheet Metal Workers Local 24th inning. For 138 years, sheet metal workers have led the way in sheet metal industries like heating and air, architectural, industrial, and more. Visit smart20evansville.com for more information on the Sheet Metal Workers Local 20. Kicking off this top of the fourth inning, the leadoff man, Edward Jones' leadoff man, John Ponder, and he will act like a bunt there and try to kind of run through a first pitch. Ends up being a swinging strike because he kind of ran through the batter's box as he tried to lay down a bunt. And as we start this fourth inning, Dawson Hargrove enters in relief for Robert Helt. So the game ends for Bob Helt. We'll get to his line in just a second. After a called strike, takes the count to 1-2 for John Ponder. Otters get through the lineup twice against Bob Helt. They put up 5 runs on 4 hits. He allowed 5 walks and struck out 2 in his 3 innings of work. 1-2 lifted high and foul by Ponder off to the right side, and we're starting to see all the umbrellas come back out as a little bit of rain is moving back into Forefront Fields area. One, two. The pitch to John Ponder. Fouled off to the left side. Just a couple feet foul. And we'll go again. Honestly, if you're Evansville, you have to be really proud of the way that you punished Lake Erie for giving up free passes. 3 straight walks in the second led to the back-to-back RBI base hit and then ground outs that allowed them to start this. And then a double started the third by Logan, a walk started the third for Logan Brown. He came around to score. Gotta punish Lake Erie when they give you those free base runners. John Ponder flares one out towards right field and will fly out to open the 4th inning. But it gives you a lot of hope, not just for tonight, not just for this week, but for the entire season, that Evansville continues to kind of never say die. Always seems like they're in a baseball game. Doesn't seem like they give up on themselves. Down 5-0, just 1 inning into this thing. And in just a couple innings time, they were able to flip the script and even this game at 5 apiece. Amani Jones watches the first pitch stay inside for ball 1. Hargrove's 1-0. Finds the high outside corner to even things up. One the count for Amani Jones as the rain picking up a little bit more in Avon. Pitch left low and away for ball 2 takes our count to 2-1. Amani Jones trying to kick something off here in the 4th. He lifts the ball out towards left field. Charging in is Alexander. He'll only have to take a few steps by the time all is said and done. And he brings it in for out number 2. It's a couple of flyouts to the outfield to start off the 4th inning for Evansville. And with 2 down, Dennis Pierce heads to the plate. Dennis Pierce had a single in the first. He was stranded out there and then grounded out to end the 2nd inning after the Otters had put up a couple of runs. 2 outs, nobody on. Top of the 4th, DP's first pitch finds the zone for a called strike. It was a curveball on the outside that was framed really nicely by Derek Vegas to get the called strike. The 0-1 on the way from Hargrove now. That's left alone for a called strike 2 right near the knees. And now Dennis Pierce will have to play some defense to keep himself alive. Hargrove shakes off the first couple of offerings from Derek Vegas, finally nods his head and fires the 0-2. Well high, eye level for Dennis Pierce. He lets it go after an early check swing, and the count goes to 1-2. A little bit of a wait here before the 1-2 pitch. Now it's sent home by Hargrove. This one's sent down the third base line, but foul. Pierce just a little too far out in front of that one. Nobody on, two men out in the top of the fourth. The 1-2 to Dennis Pierce. Way out in front of it, it's a swinging strike three for Hargrove to find a 1-2-3 inning against Evansville here in the fourth. We head to the home half of the fourth. Evansville looking to replicate the 3-up, 3-down on their own side now. We're back with home half of the fourth action right after this on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Ready for home half of the fourth action here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us here for Game 2 between the Otters and the Crushers in Avon, Ohio. Matthew Will joining you here on the airwaves tonight, as voice of the Otters, Evan Patoka, is getting himself back to 100%. He'll be hopefully back on the air here in the next couple of days, but we're glad you're joining us here for Otters baseball. First pitch stays low for ball one to the former Otter Paven Parks, who hit a 2-run homer in the first and popped out back in the second. The 1-0 to him stays low as well, and he takes a 2-0 lead in the count. Big-time college baseball going on tonight. Oklahoma and Georgia, and OU leads that game 1-0 in the third inning. If OU can win that, they are on to face North Carolina in the College World Series final. What could be a really exciting best 2 out of 3. Rain is certainly picking up in Avon as a 2-0 is fouled straight back towards the netting. All of the bodies that we can see around the seating area there at Forefront Field, either with umbrellas or ponchos on. 2-1, the count to Paven Parks, leading off this bottom of the fourth. He'll lift the baseball out towards center field, and John Ponder will run in and bring in the ball for out number 1 to Paven Parks. Could almost call it a line out, but we'll go ahead and be happy with the fly out there to John Ponder, as ball was kind of roped out towards center, but Ponder didn't have to move too far for it. It brings up the hard-hitting DH Alfredo Gonzalez. He had a double in the first, walked in the second. Actually scored a run in the first on a double steal. He was the portion of the steal headed towards home. First pitch he sees here is a called strike at the knees. Dylan Zitko entered this game in the second after J.D. Encarnacion had a first that he will likely want to forget and learn from. The ball sent down the left field line and off of the base of the wall out there. It'll be a double for Alfredo Gonzalez. There was a play at second. It was real close. Monty Jones brought the baseball in, and as he swiveled around to grab Gonzalez, the tag was just a hair late. So it's a 1-out double for Alfredo Gonzalez. He's reached in all 3 of his appearances. It brings up Garrett Pike. He's 2 for 2 on the day with a pair of singles. He was gunned down on his way to second as part of the double steal in the first, and then was stranded in the second. First pitch to Pike on the way from Zentko. Misses high and outside, ball one. Zentko with a long look out towards Gonzalez at second before he fired that pitch. Zentko will take another long look out there before he sends home the 1-0. Ball lifted well foul off to the left side, and it'll get out of play. And when they swap to that high home camera angle, we see the fans down that third base line and a lot of umbrellas down there. It looks like the rain just continues to pick up in Avon. 1 on, 1 out to the 1-1 home. Once again fouled off to the left side and out of play. And Zentko takes a 1-2 lead in the count. Pike leads the team in hits and triples. He now has 35 hits. One of just 2 crushers with at least 30. Lays off a 1-2 that stays low and inside, and the count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Otters won the opener last night 18-2 following a 6-run first. They never looked back. Little different story tonight. The Crushers scored 5 in the bottom of the first inning, but the Otters had an answer. 2-2. Sent right back up the middle. Might have been off the glove of Zentko, but then it is Salvaggio who sends it over to first in time for out number 2. Really hard to tell if Zentko was able to at least put part of the glove on that. Regardless, Salvaggio covered a lot of ground, basically where the second baseman usually starts a play to pick up that baseball and fire over in time for the second out. It does allow Alfredo Gonzalez to advance to third. So running in prime scoring position with 2 outs for the Crushers, and Derek Vegas headed to the plate. He's 0 for 1 with a flyout and reached on a hit by pitch. Zentko kicks and deals with the first pitch home. Vegas had to check his swing on a pitch that was high and out of the zone. Able to hold it, though, for ball 1. Logan Brown looked like he was ready to potentially backpick over to third, but he held his throw. 1-0 now the count to Vegas. There's a called strike near the numbers. Right across the heart of the plate. On the curveball there. That's a dangerous pitch to throw because if they do make contact, you might not see the baseball again. But it kind of locked up Vegas. His 1-1. Misses just low below the knees with the fastball. And Zentko will have to work from behind. From what we can tell, the rain just continues to pick up. Every time they switch to the high home camera, it's getting harder and harder to see the outfield area. 2-1 stays high and outside, and you start to wonder, is Zentko struggling to keep hold of the baseball with the amount of rain falling right now? Immediately after he threw that, he wiped both hands on the back of his pants. So you've got to think that this could be a factor. It does look like it just continues picking up. 3-1 the count now to Vegas. Pitch on the way. This is driven out towards left. Making a run on it is Castillo. He dives. Did he make the catch? My goodness, he did. L.G. Castillo, a sliding grab. He fist pumps afterwards. And you know what? That right there is good for our Precision Pest and Wildlife catch of the game. Remember that every great team brings precision to the field. We bring it to your home and business. Call 812-993-3341 or visit precisionpestwildlife.com. Let's elevate the standard together. LG Castillo elevated the standard there. A diving grab in the left field corner to get out of the inning. With that, we head to the 5th inning here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. We're tied at 5 runs apiece. We welcome you back into Otters baseball here on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Matthew Will joining you here on the broadcast tonight as Evan Patoka under the weather, getting him back to 100%. Meanwhile, the Otters are enjoying a whole bunch of rain right now coming down there in Avon. Here in the top of the fifth inning, Logan Brown starts things off with a hard foul ball hitting to the right side, make it two back-to-back really hard hit grounders off to the foul side of the right side of the field. So a quick 0-2 for Logan Brown. He's turned that into two separate things earlier in this game, a strikeout and a walk. All three at-bats going down 0-2 though. This one typical of the second at-bat as now he sees ball one stay low and he puts the bat between his legs and kind of rubs it on his pants to try to keep it as dry as possible as the rain continues to heavily come down. 1-2 home, driven hard and fair. It is into right field. One hops in front of Pike, and Logan Brown picks up his first base hit of the game to kick off this fifth inning. For front field in Avon is a full turf field. Every piece of the field is that turf, the mounds, the bullpen mounds, the warning track, everything. So it can withstand some water, which is why we are playing through this pretty solid rain. After the leadoff base hit, Blake Robertson in for his his third opportunity, first of the fifth. And he watches called strike one go by. He has a single and a strikeout in the game, came home to score after his single in the third. Oh, 1 the count. Logan Brown at first. Nobody out in the top of the fifth inning. B-Rob lays one off high and outside, and that will even the count at 1-1 Otters gave up 5 in the top of the first. Did not phase them. They put up 3 in the top of the second, 2 in the top of the third to make this a whole new ball game, tied at 5. The 1-1 stays outside for ball 2. And we're going to sound like broken records, folks. But we have to say what has to be said. You've got to wonder how much this rain is going to affect these pitchers. Every single time they throw a pitch, you see them look down at their hand. They're wiping their hands off multiple times before every pitch. This one to Robertson, driven out to center field, drops in front of Redfield. It's back-to-back base knocks for the Otters to kick off the top of the fifth. If it's going to be hard to be a pitcher right now, you've got to take advantage of it as a batter, and that's exactly what the Otters have done on back-to-back opportunities to start off the fifth. And oh no, it looks like they are pulling everyone off the field now. Dawson Hargrove, the Lake Erie pitcher, shaking his head as he walks off. And it does look like everyone is coming off the field. The umpires have a brief talk with Andy McCauley as he runs in towards home. And it's looking like we are going to enter a rain delay in Avon, Ohio. We're tied at 5 runs apiece in the top of the fifth inning. And I tell you what, while I wait on confirmation from the team there in the press box in Avon, Ohio about what this rain delay is going to look like, we'll walk you through how we got to where we're at in this ball game. In the bottom of the first inning, the Crushers, in the first at-bat, had a solo homer from Sebastian Alexander to take an early lead. Jared Watkins singled directly after, and Paven Parks, the former Otter, sent a 2-run homer out of this place for a 2-run shot that elevated things to 3-0. Alfredo Gonzalez reached on a double. He would come home to score as a part of a double steal, and then Joe Redfield would score later in the inning on an RBI ground rule double from Jacob Tobias to put the Crushers up 5. However, the Otters were ready to answer in the top of the second. After a leadoff ground out from Marcos Gonzalez, LG Castillo, JJ Cruz, and TJ Salvaggio all reached via the free pass. And a double from John Ponder drove in 2. A ground out from Amani Jones brought in another to put them down 5-3. In the third inning, the Otters utilized a leadoff walk from Logan Brown and then a Blake Robertson single to put a couple of men on. Marcos Gonzalez drove one in with an RBI double, and then LG Castillo drove one in with a sacrifice fly to tie the game at 5 runs apiece. And it stayed that all the way until now, as we sit here in the top of the 5th inning. Logan Brown and Blake Robertson reach on back-to-back singles to kick things off in the 5th, and that is where we are delayed with rain in the Avon area. No update as of now from Avon, but as soon as I have something, I'll make sure to update you. We invite you to keep an eye on the Otters social media, as that's where we will keep you updated with the potential through our rain delay this evening of what could happen if we're going to come back and play this evening, what that timing will look like. We'll keep you up to date with all of that right here on the Otters Digital Network. Keep it here for more updates or on the social media pages, and we'll let you know what the plan is in Avon, Ohio. We're tied at 5 runs apiece in the top of the 5th inning as Evansville's looking to go for the series. Lake Erie looking to force a series rubber match tomorrow night. I'm Matthew Will here on the Otters Digital Network. We'll join you here in a little bit as soon as we have an update. We are in a rain delay in Avon, Ohio. Welcoming back everyone who is still joining us here on the Otters Digital Network, or WYIR. We have seen the Otters and manager Annie McCauley make their way back onto the field. Annie McCauley is currently out with two of the three umpires out near home plate. It looks like they are awaiting the Lake Erie team and coaching staff to make their way back out onto the field. But as of right now, it looks like we could be getting close to playing some baseball here in Avon. The benefit of it being a full turf field is you don't need too much lead time to get right back into things. It's not like if you were at a game at EVSC's historic Bossy Field here in Evansville, where our grounds crew would need a little bit of time to get things turned over and ready to go. Don't have to worry about that much here. Obviously, you're going to take a hard look at the mounds, both on the field of play and in the bullpens, to see just how much water got on and around those. Even though they are turf, even though they do push water away pretty well, you're obviously talking about a place where you have some of the most important people of your team, your pitchers, putting a lot of momentum, down into that plant foot where they need it to be solid. Absolutely cannot afford to have pitchers sliding around up there. So as of now, it looks like we could be moving closer towards potentially playing baseball some more tonight. Field manager Andy McCauley still out there with two of the three umpires, and now it does look like a man in purple is joining them out there. I think that is Jared Lemieux. A pair of the three umpires and both managers currently speaking just next to the home plate circle. And I believe I see also joining them there, it's all three umpires now, at least. They're behind the plate chatting a little bit. And it looks like also joining them there is Vic Gregovitz, the GM there in Lake Erie. We're sure thankful for everything that he's done for us over these last couple weeks and our couple of trips up there to Avon. The managers have shaken hands. They're shaking hands with the umpires as well. The umpires just pointed up to the press box, and we are getting the sign that this game is done tonight. The hands have been waved by our home plate umpire, Miguel de la Cruz, and we are done with baseball in Avon, Ohio tonight. Evansville 5, Lake Erie 5 in the top of the fifth inning, and that will be it for baseball on Wednesday night, just outside Cleveland. Lake Erie put up 5 runs in the bottom of the first inning. And then we saw the Otters put up 3 in the second, 2 in the third to tie this game up and force a little bit of optimism onto that Evansville bench. We saw a scoreless fourth, and then in the top of the fifth inning, Evansville put up back-to-back base hits from Logan Brown and Blake Robertson before the game was paused due to rain. We were delayed, not terribly long, maybe 20, 30 minutes at most. I don't even think it was 30 minutes, to be honest with you. And now we've seen the umpires come back out and wave this game dead. We will pick it up tomorrow. We're not exactly sure on timing just yet. We're awaiting the final decisions from Avon. And it doesn't look like I'm going to have those quite yet. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that you keep an eye on the Otters social media here in the next 20, 30 minutes. And once we have that information finalized from our friends at the Crushers, we will get that information to you. But tonight's game is done for the evening. Evansville and Lake Erie tied at 5 runs apiece in the top of the Buffalo Wild Wings 5th inning. We will pick it up tomorrow and finish this one and then play a 7-inning series finale before the Otters return home for a weekend set with the Mississippi Mud Monsters. So glad you joined us on the Otters Digital Network this evening. So sorry we couldn't finish a baseball game, but the comeback Otts showed that they are in it once again. 5 runs didn't faze them. They'll have a chance to finish the comeback tomorrow evening. Hopefully, we've got Evan Patoka back on the broadcast with you. If not, I will talk with you tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, evening. As soon as we have a game time, we will put that on our social media, so keep an eye on that over the next 20, 30 minutes. From all of us here at the Evansville Otters, Matthew Will saying so long from Evansville, where it's 5-5 in our remote broadcasts from Avon between the Otters and the Crushers in this series middle game. We'll pick it up tomorrow on the Otters Digital Network and WYIR. Have a great rest of your night, and God bless.